hear us?
Yeah.
Let me see. Okay, I just muted my other one. Did that work?
I think that worked. So
okay.
Yeah, that worked. You guys, welcome to Phases Life Vibes. You know, I also have a channel, Phases the Next Level, but over here, this is what I do, empowerment. I'm hearing it again some kind of way.
Let
me see.
I'm trying to scoop this up. Is that lights back in there?
I see a light on your end.
Okay, yeah, I'm trying to.
Got it? You good? Yeah, that was much better.
Okay.
All right, so welcome again, ladies. I appreciate you being here. I want to first of all start off with you guys introducing yourself and telling everybody a little bit about what you do. I do have about 8,000 followers, so it's just imperative that we tell who you are and what you do. So whoever wants to jump in first, and then right after that person, the next person can go.
Well, I'll let the lady go first. All right, well, good evening, everybody. I'm Luana Harris, also known as Luana Michelle, and I enlighten, encourage, and empower others to live to their fullest potential. I also am involved in business strategy and helping you align your thoughts and your mind with how you would like to align your business. So that's what I do. Everything that I do is in personal and professional development, and that's exactly what I do.
Well, welcome, Miss Luana.
Thank you for having me. Welcome, Miss Luana. Welcome, Mika. Hi, my name is Mika Diamond. I am the founder of Visible Evidence Consulting Firm, where I help clients reach their levels of success and growth in areas of digital marketing, strategic planning, and community relations. We focus on bringing visions to life while building long-lasting relationships. I am also the host of the Morning Tea radio show right here in Houston, Texas. It is an internet radio show where we have about 70,000 listeners that tune in every month. I'm also the host of Meet Houston, which is a talk show that's in Houston that brings everything that's happening within our city on that platform. And I'm also the Promote Her South chapter leader for a women's sisterhood of women in entrepreneurship, women who own their business, which is internationally. And I'm excited to be on the show.
Yay! So you ladies are busy. You guys know that I am of course the founder and owner and the founder and CEO of Phases the Next Level. I am all about women empowerment. I am an event planner. I host workshops. And so I stay pretty busy myself. So I just like to be around like-minded women and people that keep me encouraged and motivated. So here we are. The topic for tonight is abandoning your past. And I wanted to tackle this topic with you two ladies specifically because I know a little bit of Mika's story, and I know what I've been through, and in the beginning of me coming on the other side of my past, it was kind of hard to let it go. And so I want to share kind of how I let it go, see what you guys' thoughts, and just have an open discussion about abandoning your past. I speak to a lot of ladies and they're just beating themselves up about some of the things that went on in their past, and they don't know how to move forward from that, right? I feel like a lot of it is just spiritual for me. I tap into my higher power and I dig deep inside of myself to figure out, who I am and who God has created me to be. I often would say that I wanted to, if I could just go back and just change everything, and just be better, make it better. But then I look at it from a different aspect and say, well, had I not gone through those things, where would I be? Would I not be sitting here right now? Would I not be engaged in the things that I'm doing right now to help ladies move through what they're going through? So I don't know that I would take anything in my past back, but I know that I've grown and I've learned from them. So I want to start with you, Luana. What do you, I said, it was spiritual for me and, figuring out who I am. What would you give someone that came to you and say, look, I'm struggling. I cannot get away from what has gone on in my life. I made a mess of my life. What do I need to do? How do I move forward?
So one of the things I know that I have had to do, so I've actually gone through divorce and losing everything and having to come back home with partially, just a car, three kids, and really having to rebuild myself. And so one of the things, and even in addition to that, and after that, just going through just kind of some emotional things back, just emotional situations that kind of caused me to get in this really dark place. And so one of the things that I've had to do personally was to really take responsibility for my actions. I had to take responsibility and say, first and foremost, it wasn't the other person, it wasn't my ex, it wasn't any of that. It was a lot of that was because I placed myself in that situation, or I accepted it for a certain amount of time, or I allowed certain things to happen instead of saying no, instead of cutting things off. And so I had to take personal responsibility. And the second part of that, I had to forgive the other person. And then the last part, I had to forgive myself. Really had to forgive myself for the things that I put myself through. And really looking at, okay, now that we've gone through that, now that I've gone through that, what can I do to even love myself even more genuinely? What can I do to accept the love of God? What can I do to move further in my purpose? And because, one of my things is I really want to live out of the overflow of love, not out of an empty saucer. And so I really want to live out of the overflow. So that's just a few of the things that I've done. Also being connected to positive people and making sure that, I stay connected.
Right. I think it's very important who you surround yourself with.
Absolutely.
If you're not being around people that are like-minded and looking at least towards where you're trying to be, or trying to do some of the same things that you're doing, that can hinder you as well. And birds of a feather flock together. So if you're around, if your circle ain't right, if your circle's not right, then how can you move forward? How can you be better than you were yesterday if you stand over here where things just ain't quite right? Well, we're not saying those are bad people. We're just saying you're not doing what you're doing, right? They're not looking forward to what you're looking forward to. Mika, what would you say?
Oh, I totally agree. I had to get into a space where I lost all of those who were in my circle. So when you lose everybody that's within your circle, and what I'll say is that you have to get to the level of maturity to understand that God chose you to go through the things that you went through, and he chose you for a specific reason. Now, going through the process, you may not understand what that specific reason is, because during the process, you're just trying to get out of it. Whatever it is that's been weighing you down, whatever pile that's laying on top of you, at that time, you're just trying to release everything that's on top of you. And so you have to mature. And I'm like you, Marva, I had to come out of, it was spiritual for me. It was a development process. It was one of those things where when you lose your circle, who do you turn to when you lose your circle? And so it was spiritual growth for me as well. I had to realize that God was my only friend. And I had to realize that those who were in my circle, they were in my circle for a season. And I always say, during the fall time, we watch the leaves, they fly away, they blow away. And then what happens after that? There are new leaves, there's new soil, there's new seeds that's been sown. And you just have to nurture those seeds in order for them to grow. And then you have new people who may not know you from your past, have known you from your past, but they love you unconditionally for where you are at that day. So it's not bad to lose that circle, that comfort circle. I'll say that comfort circle, or that circle of influence, because those people, sometimes they're only there for a season. And when you learn to accept that, when you learn to mature enough to know that God sent you through those things, because there was a specific purpose coming out of it. And once you get to the other side, it's a joyous feeling to get to the other side. So that's what I would say about the circle. I can go all day about the circle.
Right. And I feel like that it could even be your family, it can even be family members. You can love at a distance. Like I have the people that I hung around in my past. I don't hang around those people in my past. I love them, and they know that we're friends, but I'm doing something different. They're doing something different. And so you have to separate yourself, and it's okay. It's people take that sometimes in the wrong way. That somebody's calling my phone, y'all. I'm sorry about that. But anyways, people take that in the wrong way, in that they think that you're abandoning them, or it's something they did, or you have an issue with them, when really it's you trying to make yourself better. You're changing, you're developing, and you're developing and changing in a different way, in a different manner. So you can't
and that's growth.
it's
That's the growth process,
Yeah.
and that's the maturity of learning. You
I
know,
was-
you once you learn that there are seasons. There are seasons for people. There are seasons for things.
Right.
You aren't. It's not that you're leaving them behind. It's more of, you know, I'm just growing. I'm just in a new season. And then those who love you, who unconditionally love you. There are some people from my past that I abandoned, that they knew me during that season. And even though I abandoned that season, they are not bringing my old season back up, because they know that I am a new creature. Whether it's based on business, whether it's based on my spirituality, whatever it is, I've grown to a new level, and you have to respect the new level that I've grown from. And all of those who floated away with the other leaves that blew, or whatever the case may be, I'm fine with my new seeds that's been planted. I'm good with it.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. So we want to talk about. I want to talk a little bit more. I want to talk a bit more about guilt, because I think a part of the reason that people can't move on is because they're guilty. They feel they're blaming themselves for their faults, which you have to take responsibility for that, but you don't have to stay in that. And I think that's where the mistake is that I've heard this conversation. I can't move forward because I feel so horrible that I hurt people along the way. People that I love. And so I don't know how to move from that. But what I learned, and this is biblical, is that you go to the people that you hurt and you ask them for forgiveness. Now, whether they forgive you or not, that's on them. You have to forgive yourself, right? And then you go to your God, your higher power, whoever that might be. It's the Lord Jesus Christ for me. And you ask for forgiveness. It's at that moment, it's in those times that you can move forward, but you have to do that. You have to be willing to do that. It just don't happen. You got to do the work to get there. What are your thoughts?
Right. And there's a difference between guilt and conviction. So when you think of guilt, that is something that is that's bondage. So now you're thinking of, well, I can't move forward because of this, because I've done this and I've hurt people. So that is the barrier to moving forward. And now you're feeling stuck because of that guilt and that shame. But then you have that conviction, and the conviction is, you know what, God, I know I was wrong. Like you just said, forgive me, I forgive other people, that's fine. But I'm still taking a step to move forward. And Mika, you talked about the level of maturity. It takes a mature person to say, I was wrong. Forgive me, and let's move on. You know, it takes a spiritually mature person, a physically, mentally, emotionally mature person to say that, and to say, you know what, I'm not going to allow guilt to keep me from moving forward. I'm not going to allow guilt or fear, because sometimes there's a fear added to that as well. So you're going to take, you can think of all of those things. So anything that's holding you hostage from allowing you to move forward, those are those things that the enemy keeps to keep you in that, know. So the conviction is, God, I know you still love me. I know I was wrong. You showed me I was wrong. You make it right. Give me the wisdom and let me move forward, because I know that there's greater things on the other side of whatever this thing is. You know,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I wanted to share a quick story. The season that I was in, the season that I abandoned, those individuals, I buried all of those individuals up underneath the rug. It was almost like, I don't want to see you. I don't want to speak to you. I don't want to speak of what has happened. Let's just bury that and move on, right? So we always want to, come out as if we're new without really going back to the issue and trying to make our wrongs right. And so what happened with myself was, this was 5 years ago when I went through my what I have now abandoned, right? And so you get to a point, you get to maturity to where spiritually I had forgiven them in my sleep without never even speaking to them. I saw myself hugging them, these individuals, and them saying they were sorry to me. but I've never seen them or ever spoken to them. But what it did for me was it released a weight that was weighing down on me. So that happened about a year ago. Last week, I turned 42 years old. The individual that I hurt, the individual that I know that I could have done things differently, I have been thinking for a long time, I never imagined me ever speaking to this individual again in life because of how bad things were, right?
Right.
Something spoke, God spoke to me at 12 o'clock on my 42nd birthday. And I send an inbox message. I wasn't expecting a response, but to make my wrong right, to be able to say that I was sorry for the things that I did and know that I released that burden, that weight that was on me that I could have released a long time ago, was the best thing that I have ever done. We have communicated, we've shared our feelings, and now we have moved on. But spiritually, I had to get that nudge in my own time, in God's time, and I should say, to be able to make my wrong right. So I do believe that you have to get that off of you and make your wrong right, and let God lead you into what it is that you're going to do. And don't have an expectation of forgiveness. You do your part. You do your part. And if you do your part, then you shouldn't have to worry about how they're going, if it's going to be reciprocated. But as long as you do your part and you know that you have tried to make your own right in the sight of God and what you were supposed to do, then you don't have to worry about anything else.
Yeah,
right.
And
I heard a couple of, go ahead.
I was going to say true forgiveness is accepting an apology that you may never hear. So, you know what, sometimes you may never hear that apology, and then, you know, vice versa, you may never get that chance, but that's the forgiveness piece. So, okay, I just want to throw that in there.
This is good. So what I got from that is a point I wanted to make is that, and this green screen got me really looking green, sorry. But
it just looks like that on your end, because on our end, it looks really good.
It doesn't look green?
Yeah, I don't see
okay. So anyway, I wanted to say about the forgiveness part. Once you apologize, and once you've asked God to forgive you, you can't dwell in that. You can't continue to wallow in that. When you ask for forgiveness, you're supposed to do that, make it right with God and move on. And people struggle with that. Even I did. Okay. And then the other thing that when you were speaking, Mika, is what I got is that it was a true God thing because it came to you in a dream. And when you said that you know, it was spirituality for us. And I think all three of us here, I know all three of us here love the Lord. And so I think we know when he speaks to us and he comes in, there's a myriad of ways that he comes to us.
Right.
And it was a God thing.
It was.
But the moment, so I'll share a little bit of me. I was in the streets all of my 20s. And my parents kept saying, you keep on doing what you're doing, you're going to go to jail. You know, you will eventually, you keep doing something, you get caught. Well, where I hurt people is because I didn't have children at the time. And so I thought that if whatever I was doing, I wasn't hurt, I was just hurting me. So if something happened to me, then I'm good, right? It didn't matter about anything else because I didn't have children. You know, I look at people and they do things and they go to jail or they get into trouble and they have children and leave the children. So I'm thinking I don't have anybody to abandon. Not true. I had my mother, I had my parents, I had my siblings, I had my nephews, right? Even though I didn't have children. And all of those people that I just mentioned and more cared and loved me. And that when I hurt, they hurt, right?
Yeah.
And so then I beat myself up, especially my parents. You know, they were good to me and they tried to teach me the right way and all these things, and I let them down. And you guys, it took me a long time to forgive myself for that. But let me tell you what happened. The worst part of it is that eventually I went to prison, and I went to prison for possession of a controlled dangerous substance. Now, growing up in my life, I had a mother and father at home. We had a great life. No one could have ever told me that I would end up there. But when I got there, I was in this room, this little room they put you in, you know, all that mess. And I was alone. And in that moment is when he spoke to me. And I kept trying to grab a hold of him and say, okay, God, but the devil was working on me and he wouldn't allow me to accept Christ. But the more that I fought it, and my mother's prayers, I'm sure, and the more, you know, it was in that moment when I was in prison that I found him. And it was like, this is a road that I would never come back up again.
Yeah.
I've apologized to my family, which, you know, they were like, we just want you to be okay, right? But I
Yeah.
embarrassed my family, right? I was embarrassed. So it was hard for me to move on because I hurt people.
Yeah.
Which in turn for being incarcerated gave me low self-esteem. So let's talk about low self-esteem.
Yes.
People have, ladies, women in particular, guys really, they don't really care. You have some, but they don't care one way or the other. But it's hard for women to move on when they
Yeah.
have low self-esteem. Like, I'm
Yeah.
embarrassed. I got, you know, no one would ever know that if I wouldn't tell them that I went to prison in my life now, right? Unless you
Yeah.
knew me. So what do you ladies say about the low self-esteem piece in it?
Yeah. Well, it's huge. And so you really have to look at well, first of all, I think the low self-esteem and low confidence comes from when you start comparing yourself and start comparing your lives to other people. And then the guilt also comes in because, you know, you feel like, well, I've done this or I've said this and I've hurt those people. And so now I'm not enough, or I'm not good enough to move forward. I don't have this or I don't have that. And then you start looking at, you know, what other people are doing. And then that kind of just makes you say, you know, this is not, I'm not good enough. And so once you start accepting who you are, I went through a whole, kind of, I call it a love journey just last year, and really accepting, you know, we always talk about this word authenticity. Well, what does that look like? And I think like true authenticity is really saying, you know what, I'm accepting me for me, and I choose to bring the level of authenticity to whatever avenue, whatever environment that there is, not because you're making me do that, but because I choose to. And that comes from confidence, that comes from self-love, that comes from really accepting who God has made you to be, really accepting your purpose, really accepting all of those things. And so that's important. That's huge. And so just really accepting that.
I had to learn to love myself again. But my thing was, what are people saying about me and how bad did I embarrass my family? Right? That's where I was. And the thing about it, no one went through that with me. Even though my family said, okay, when you hurt, I hurt. I went through that. I had to go through that by myself to get where I am today. Like, nobody can make it better for you if you're like, you got to do the work. You got to.
The thing is, it's a purging process. It's a complete spiritual purging process. He will bring you to your lowest in order for you to seek him through it all. So you don't have anybody else, and he won't allow you to, because mine was 8 months. I said 8 months, and I don't think it was it wasn't really an insecurity. It was more of, there were so many lies, so many stories that was told, because I hadn't opened my mouth and spoke to the masses about what the real story was. So what happened was, when you don't. Right. When you don't speak to the masses and share your story, and you're quiet during this whole process, then everybody adds their own narratives to your storyline. Right. So what happened was, for myself, it was 8 months of, you know, me not really wanting to speak to anybody, because everybody that I felt like that may have just wanted to know the story, I pushed them away. I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't share a lot of the things that I was going through internally with my mother. I didn't share with her the discussion, the talks with God, where I'm telling him, Lord, you know, I would rather just go with you than have to face all of these lies and all of these stories that's told on the outside of this bedroom. You know, nobody really knew that. Some knew, but they don't. So it's a purging process. It's a process where you have to mature to that level. So it wasn't really an insecurity. It was more of, I don't want to have to face and have to explain to each and every person that I come in contact with what happened. But I will say this though, it's all in the way that you handle it. Because the platforms, the people that I have met today, clearly those who were in my circle, who was in that season, would not be able to deal with the Mika that I am today, because they couldn't take me as the Mika that I was in those years. So it was a purging process. And when I say purging, I mean a complete life change of purge, because, you know, when they say get, you know, out with the old, in with the new, that's exactly what happened with my life. It literally happened with my life. So
it's like you're a diet plan. If you're not, mine is not made up, it's not going to work. I had literally just let it go. start doing some fixing myself. I'm telling you, the first time my mother, and now, you know, I'm way older than 20. So my mother learned stuff when I first told my story. I wouldn't tell it. I was asked to tell my story and I would not, because I had already embarrassed them enough. And the things that I didn't tell them, I didn't want her to have to hear that now, right? What she knew, I thought what my mother and father knew, that's good enough. They know, you know, but it wasn't until my mother was sitting in the audience and I went in front of a room full of people and told my story. And you talking about burden lifted off of me.
Yes.
I was free. I was free. And what happens? I'm sorry. And that's what happens when we say you're in bondage, when you don't let go. Luana, you had something to add?
Yeah, I was gonna. So you use the word purge, and I looked up the word purge, and it says rid someone or something of an unwanted quality, unwanted condition, or unwanted feeling, or to remove from, you know, from an organization or place in an abrupt or violent way. So when you talk about purging, that is that whole I guess process of just literally taking away that junk. Take it away, and like you're not giving it up. Like God is literally, no, I need to take this from you. And some of the stuff you surrender, some of it you say, okay, God, I give it to you. But some stuff, I mean, for real, some stuff you really want to hold on to. You want to hold on because it's comfortable. But God is like, no, I need to take this from you. Give it to me so I can make you better. So
and you are so, when I say you are so correct when you say some things you want to hold on to, because it's comforting. It's comforting for you to stay in that space. But the good and the glory and the excitement of how God does it is he takes it from you to the point to where you can't fix it. You know, you can't, it will not happen. I don't care how much time you put into it. I don't care how you try to wrap it, a bow around it. I don't care what gift bag you put it in, whatever it is that he does not want to be a part of your life during this process, it's not going to work. It's not going to work, but it's until you get to the maturity level to be able to accept it for what it is and say, Lord, okay, I get it. I understand. Instead of you keep slapping me on my hand, you're going to give me a sucker punch to my stomach and say that this is not going to happen.
And that really relates to my story, because my parents were coming to me and saying, whatever you're doing, you better stop. You know, he was sending people, sending and telling. I wasn't listening. He said what he revealed to me. He said, I have to sit you in a quiet place to get your attention. I tried to send the people that love you and you can't listen. So I get you to your lowest of low.
That's it.
First of all, you're not a drug dealer, by no means. You out of character. This is not what you were raised to be. That wasn't even set before you in your home. So I had to do something, and I gave you a warning. So no matter if I was, you know what, when I say I wish I could go back and change it, it was going to happen. Our lives are written. And so I had to accept it. And Luana, you talked about taking responsibility of it. So as I went through the process of being incarcerated, we went to these classes, and I don't know why I'm telling this. It's just coming out, y'all. I'm sorry. But we went to these classes, and in the classes, you know, they go around and say, why do you think you're here? What has happened in your life? And you would hear young ladies talking about being molested. Their father violated them, or their parents were on drugs, or they was drugged through the mill, or they was in I was none of that, y'all. When it came to my turn, it was like, I'm here because of my choices, choices alone. And it was in that moment when I spoke those words, I said, and then after that, they said, stand right here. It was 2 people, and then 5 people here. They said, these 2 people right here, not literally, but just 2 out of 7 people, 5 out of 7 people will return to prison. So while I was there, it was a revolving door. They would get out, come back, get out, come back. I happened to be the 2 that would never come back, but I had made a pact. I knew. I knew I was misplaced.
But the whole thing, what it is was you knew, right? And you also knew that it was so the thing, a part of the purging process, a part of you, God choosing you for this specific place to be in, is because of what happened after that. It's the thing of what happened after. And that's why, you know, I always talk about how how you just never know how strong you are until you put yourself or you get yourself in these situations, and then how God strengthens you to be able to go beyond what you ever even imagined. So you question yourself, like, why did this happen? Why did this happen? Until you grow spiritually and understand that you were built up. This thing happened to you because you were chosen to be that individual, so you can go out and be a living testimony to so many other people and bring them closer, especially if they've been in that space, or to stop them from going into that space.
Right. And I was born and raised in the church, and so, but I had never heard God speak to me. I had never felt his presence. So from that point on, after I got in, I've accepted it. I'm here. So I have to make good out of this. Yes, it's a bad situation, but I started having to pull out the good in it. What's good? Who can I talk to and make them right? But when the moment I felt his presence, I've never turned around. He still didn't have kids when I got out, but I got myself, he prepared me to have my children, to be who I am today, right? So that's, we're telling these stories, and I want to talk to the viewers. We're telling these stories and we're having this conversation because if it's something that I can say, that Miss Lawana can say, that Miss Mika can say, that we can say to you guys that relates to your lives.
Absolutely.
It relates to your life. Pull that out and take it to God, or take it to your higher power, because your past does not define you. My past does no longer define who I am. And I'm very confident in who I am. And if I can be an example for anybody, you want to know my full story, call me. I'll come tell you. Because my pastor said, you got to tell it so that people know who you're helping.
Absolutely.
And on my platform, I bring people here to tell your story, tell your experiences. And then after these interviews, people are coming and saying, I just got an epiphany. The light just came on. Thank you. Right. So it's worth it. So let's move. Let's move on. So this is good. This is good. So I want to talk about when you, I think a big part of it, and we said it earlier, is that we worry so much about what other people think about us. That is our downfall a lot of times. And so what do you guys say or think about that, about what people say, and how do you think you could help someone through that?
Well, for myself, that was one of the biggest things for myself, which was one of the reasons why the world didn't have access to me like they did during that 8 months. They didn't, because I was worried about the stories and how I would overcome some of the lies, and how I would have to go to individuals and explain and keep sharing over and over and over and over. It was one of those things, but I got to the point to where, you know what, I know who I am. I know who I am. Those who love me know who I am. They know who I am. They know my credibility. They know my character. So if there was things that I was doing out of my character, you still know me for who I am. For those who chose to go a different route, for them who chose to be on the side of the fence, that act like they didn't know who I was, I allowed them to stay in that space, because I grew to the point of, there was a season. It was a season for those individuals. And so that's, I would say to anybody who is worried about who's worried about their character, focus. God allows new seeds to be nourished in order for them to grow into beautiful flowers. He allows new seeds to be grown. So all of those who were stuck in the season of worried about who I was, who tried to bring up my past or even find out little snippets of the story, I left them where they were. I chose to do what I was supposed to do by turning the other cheek. And I'll tell you, God is my witness. If I didn't do as I did, I don't think that I would be as blessed and on the platform that I am today, because it was a certain way how I handled it. I didn't handle it. I didn't go back and forth with people. I didn't get on social media and blast and do subliminal messages. I X that whole dynamic of people, all of those who were trying to see who I was, or tried to figure out, or even didn't know who I was and tried to figure it out based on what somebody else said. I just got them out of the equation. I prayed about them. I prayed about building me up stronger. So if I saw them, I could face them for who they were. And I couldn't worry about that, because life is short. Life is short. And if you worry about people are going to talk about you anyway. So if they aren't relevant people, if they aren't people that you need to make a wrong right, then just leave them in the space where they are and just continue to move forward. So that's what I would say to that.
Luana?
So one of the things I had to recognize too is that, there were times and not even now, there are times when I'm like, dang, what did this person say? Or what is this person? Or should I post this because who's going to come? There are certain things even now that, just to be honest, that come up. But one of the things I also recognize is that the people that, and this is kind of helps me to get past what people think, because I'm like, everyone has their own issues. Everybody has something else going on, something that is going on in their lives. Some people just know how to cover it up better than others. Some people know how to manage it better than others, and that's fine. But I just realized that God has just made me a certain way. And I just need to do because I will tell you when I'm not doing, or when I'm supposed to post something, or if I'm supposed to say something and I don't do it, I will get convicted. Like, seriously, I will get convicted, and I will be like, dang, I should have posted that. And then sometimes I just go ahead and do it. But just getting past that, that whole initial fear of what are people going to say. I also go back to love. One of my favorite scriptures is God's perfect love cast out all fear.
Amen.
When you accept his love, that is what is going to eliminate the fear of what other people think, of what other people are going to say, of what other people are, are they going to bring this up, or and none of that even matters. And so when you walk in your confidence, we talked about confidence a little bit earlier. When you walk in that, then you look at other people and say, you know what, it's not even about you, it's about the people that I'm supposed to serve, and the people that are supposed to be attached to me, or the people that I'm supposed to serve. They're going to accept it, whether whoever, it doesn't even matter. They're going to get it because those are the people that I'm supposed to serve. And so everybody else doesn't matter.
Yeah. I liked I love all of this, what y'all are saying. Good. But I liked where, you talked about, Mika, you had to tell your story because other people would say stuff, it was all lies. But it's the truth. If you don't tell your story, people will definitely put their little 2 cents in, twist it, turn it, and by the time you get it back, it's nothing it's not even anything like what happened. So it's very important that we share our stories when we're comfortable in doing so. So I can tell you what I did, and I can tell you what really happened. And then whatever you do with it after that, that's on you. But I felt so much better telling my story. And then
and there's also timing in that as well. There's timing to tell the story, and also there is an audience. So there's bits and pieces that in one audience I may tell this particular parts of my story, and then another audience I may tell this. It's the same story because it's still I'm telling it. But there are certain bits and pieces that some people are not going to be able to handle your story. Some people can't handle it. And so then there are other people who actually really need that. So there's bits and pieces of your story that you can you tell certain people based off of your discernment. And then there have been times when I've been in certain audiences that I'm like, I'm not going to share that, and then somebody will ask a question. Like, dang, I gotta share that. You felt that. So it's just, and then it helps that person. It's just one of those things. And so you just have to really discern that whole timing. Discern your audience.
It is. I when they asked me to tell my story, it was like 2008. I was not ready. I was not ready. And let me tell you why I was ready. Because at that time, still in 2008, even though I had really made a great change, if somebody would have said something negative about it or said, then I don't know what would have come out of my mouth. Whereas when I got to this place, where I am now, it's like, God bless you. It's okay to feel how you feel. It doesn't matter because I know who I am. But back then, you have to be ready. You have to be ready. And you have to move when God tells you to move.
Absolutely.
Like Luana, you have to listen to God. Because he'll tell you, and when you don't, you will get convicted. Time you better do when he's saying it and it's him. You better get it out. I think you better get it out.
Absolutely, you have to, and then understanding that there's the purpose. That there was a purpose in the hurt and the pain. Understanding that it was a purpose. So
yes, that is true.
So I want to talk about this, and I'm guilty of this as well. What about talking out of two sides of your mouth? Like
Ooh.
you say, I want to change, I want to be better, I want to move on from my life. But every time I see you, you're still kind of walling and stuck in that same position and you're never moving forward. But then we talk about, well, I want to move and I'm going to change. Well, and this is what can be better. And if I did this, it would be so much better. But then over here, but still, I just can't get rid of why, just you have, what do you call that when you have a flip-floppy spirit? You're getting pulled both directions, right?
Yeah.
You want to
Mhm.
change, but you and
You
you
call
say,
it
but your actions is something else.
you call it process.
Yeah, there. See, the thing is, people have to. One thing, let me just say this: I do not like people who talk out of both sides of their mouth. Like, we just do not get along, right? So, so here's the thing: I look at people as like me. I want to help everybody. I want to be able to provide resources for everyone. But I also have to look at the mind, the mentality, and the space that individual is in before I start saying that I'm going to provide these resources. So I'm a firm believer of walking the walk that you talk, period. Point blank, period. If you walk the walk that you talk, I can help you all day long. I can provide whatever it is that I need. But if you're just talking and there's no action in what you're talking about, to me, it's not wholeheartedly something that you truly want to do. Now, let's there's people that are on drugs. Yes. There's people that have certain things that they're attached to that it's very difficult for them to be able to say that tomorrow I'm going to change and I'm not going to do this anymore. But if I see that you're trying, if I see that you really are wholeheartedly, spiritually investing your time and your energy into changing, then I will give you the shirt off my back because I know that you're doing it wholeheartedly. But for someone to just say it and don't have any action behind it, it's hard for me to invest. Now, like, unless God say, keep holding on for a reason, because I'll be honest, there's some people that I wanted to cut off. And every time I pray to him about these certain people, he sends me a sign that I shouldn't cut them off yet. But just saying all of that to say, I just like for people to talk, to walk the walk that they talk. If you walk the walk that you talk, then that shows me that you're wholeheartedly investing your time and your energy into somebody who changed. If not, I'm sorry, I'm at an age now where I just can't invest time into people that's not having any actions that aligns with the things that they're speaking about. So that's just me.
Yeah. And I've been burned, with that, because they tell me all the time, you can't save the world. You can't save everybody. I don't care how good the conversation is. Some people are just not ready. And I'm like, I don't have time for, I want to help people. I'm a giver. I don't care. I'll do whatever, but I have to now have a discernment about who is really, truly wanting to help, because I've been there, done it, and got burned every time from the same person, right?
And you had the discernment. The thing is, when you pray about the discernment, that's one of those things. We want the discernment. We want God to show us who the individuals are. But then we ourselves, because of our heart, after he keeps tapping us on the hand and saying, that's not the one. That's not the one you should be investing in. Or it literally, that's not the one I'm sending you to help in that aspect. We want to continue to do that. And then we end up we have expectations because of what we're investing in these individuals. And when they don't, and we've already been getting the signs that we shouldn't be doing what we're doing for them anyway, whose fault is it? We can't get mad because it's our own personal fault, because we are overextending ourselves for individuals that aren't truly investing in themselves by themselves. So, but it's a learning process. You have to grow get that tough skin, because I've been there. I have been there before. I've lost business partners. I've looked at people that I've called my sister and realized that they weren't my sister, and all of those different things. But when we ask for discernment, we have to be okay with the discernment.
Be careful what you ask for.
Yes.
So I just also think about, whether it's myself working, that's why I said process, because, you mentioned a huge thing that my thing is, I like to help people and walk with people just as much as you ladies do. But when I'm walking with you, and then if I'm walking, and now this whole process has become to where I'm dragging you, on work. I'll walk with you and hold your hand for a certain amount of time. But when it's dragging, Now, no, because I think also it's easy and it's okay to get delivered, but you have to walk out that deliverance.
Wow.
Whether it's me helping somebody else, you have to walk out the deliverance. You have to identify those things that has caused you to get into that bondage. You have to commit to it, and then you have to execute. You have to execute whatever that looks like, whether it is, putting in the work, whether it is cutting off people, whether it's physically, mentally, and sometimes physically you can't always get out of that environment, which is, that's okay. Right. But at the same time, you have to make some type of effort to say, okay, I want something different. Right. And when you look at it, God will help you through those different motions. Yes. So you got to put some action to your faith and keep going and take one step and just move and keep moving. But the deliverance, it's a process. It don't just stop when you get saved. No, you got to walk that thing out. You got to walk it out literally every hour. I'm not even gonna say every day, every hour, because it is something that you have to literally walk out. And it takes faith, it takes strength, and it takes wisdom and all of that to do that.
Right. And when you say, I'm not, sometimes you literally feel like you're dragging somebody, but we talked about that birds of a feather. Now, if you keep spending your time trying to drag somebody, they're gonna pull you down.
Right. Exactly.
You're back at square one. You're back at square one. So you gotta realize when it's time to let go. When it's time to go. So what else can we, when we talk about moving forward, I think it's a commitment. You have to commit to your future. You have to commit to what the steps that you're going to take to get to where you're trying to go. It was when I was home and doing my thing that the devil will play mind games with you. And he'll try to trick you if you're not strong enough into falling right back into those patterns that got you, that you were trying to get rid of. So you have to commit. Yes, you have to be spiritually inclined, but he gives us 5 senses as well. And we have to put those into effect. So it's that action, taking those actions. What about commitment, ladies?
Most definitely commitment and consistency. It creates a routine. It creates consistency. And then, it's anything. If you want to apply for a job, you have to have a resume. If you want to apply for another job with another platform that's on a higher platform, then you got to update that resume to make sure that it makes sense for the new job that you're applying for and the position that the potential of you earning that position. So it's consistency. It's going to change daily. And then also your actions and how you respond to things. People don't understand that the actions and how you respond to things sometimes can hinder you from growth, from a growth process, how you respond. You have no idea how you are tested each and every day in order for you to get to the next level. But consistency, those who want to create change and be consistent in the things that they need to do, then it will become a routine. Then it'll become something that's natural. I'll give an honest story. I prayed to God for a long time on how I want to become a stronger Christian, and I wanted my alignment to walk. I wanted him to order my steps. I wanted him to move in the direction that I wanted him to go. But I wasn't even consistently praying. I didn't even consistently pray all day. Sometimes I would fall asleep without even praying. So how do you actively say that you want to do something and you don't? So what I had to start doing was, okay, so if I get into bed and I say my prayers and I start falling asleep, I guess the Lord said, well, let me let her fall asleep. Then I start getting mad at myself because I was falling asleep because I was lazy praying instead of me getting on my knees and being consistent. So now if I get into bed without praying on my knees, instantly I get a reminder like, oops, I need to get on my knees and say my prayers. But it's consistently. It wasn't until consistently I started saying that I got to put work and effort into what it is that I want. So being consistent is very important when you want to create change and you want to do something and walk the walk that you talk. You have to do some things that are uncomfortable and make them comfortable in order and do that consistently. And you will see the changes that you'll have in your life.
Yeah. And then also too, in addition to that, that's some good stuff right there. You have to have a vision for yourself. What is it? Where are you trying to go? What is it that you're looking at? You have to have some type of idea of what and it may not be the actual thing or the actual position or the actual thing that you're looking, but you have to have some type of vision of what it is that you're working towards so that you can be committed to that thing. So, and then, we talk about SMART goals, you have to be it has to be very, you know, it has to be smart. It has to be very timely. It has to be realistic. It has to be, you know, just attainable, all of those things, you know, is it specific? So you have to look at all of those different goals and different things in order to reach that, but you have to have some type of vision that you can commit to. If you're saying, okay, well, I want to, you know, I have a vision about, like you said, the resume or the position. Okay, what does that look like? And it takes meditation. It takes, okay, God, where is it that you want me to go? And sometimes I'm not going to tell you every step, but you, you know, discernment, you can understand and feel, okay, this is where I need to go, or these are the steps that I need to take, or this is what it may look like. But it's just, again, also just having that vision of what it is. God, what's the vision that you have for me? What does that look like?
Right. And I feel like, because if
go ahead, I'm sorry.
Because if you don't, that's where frustration comes in.
Yes.
And then when you get frustrated, it pushes you back. And then you give up. So you have to have some kind of idea what you want to do. You have to have some kind of plan, and you have to stick to it.
And what about an accountability partner? What about someone who's in your circle to hold you accountable for the things that you are trying to do? Because oftentimes if we don't have, that's why if you're wanting to lose weight, or you wanted to, you know, whatever the case may be, is something that you want to do, you have someone that's going to be your trainer in order to hold you accountable for the things, the visions, what you're saying, that whatever it is that you're trying to obtain. So yeah, it's very important.
And when you talk about attainable, Luana, right, because you can't go making these big old goals, or trying to reach this big thing, and you're really struggling. You got to take baby steps sometimes. You know? It takes a lot of little goals to get to your big goals. And so and then, because if you make it too out of control, then you get frustrated about that. Oh, I'm not reaching my goals. But see, what I've learned about the baby goals, or the short-term goals, is that when you reach that, how you feel really good about yourself. Oh, I did that, so what's next? And oh, good, I did that, so what's next? So it's a level, it's a phase. It's going through the phases to get where you're trying to go. Absolutely. Well, ladies, I appreciate you guys so much. I want to give you guys the opportunity, one last round, to leave with us whatever you want to leave with us. But before you go, I want to get your social media contacts out there. This was good. Like, I could go forever and ever. Why I do it. My entire goal is to put God first and to help someone. And so that's why I have these, just because I know that somewhere in this world, somebody's going through the same thing, or have gone through the same thing I have, and maybe something I did could help them.
Yes.
So, Luana, you want to take off first?
Yeah. So again, I'm Luana Harris, and on social media, you can reach me on Facebook at Luana Bumpers Harris. On Twitter, I'm at Luana Michelle. On Instagram, I am Luana Michelle. On YouTube is Luana Michelle. And so that's who I am. But again, I do enlighten and I encourage and empower others to live to their fullest potential through personal and professional development. Not to mention, I do have a program that's called From Chaos to Clarity that will help women go literally from chaos to clarity in their lives, talking about internal and external obstacles, looking at how you can serve others, serving your community through your gift. So that'll be coming up here real soon. So I appreciate that. And I'm so thankful for you ladies for having me on. And yes, this is some good stuff, the good stuff.
Very much so.
Thank you. Miss Mika.
Yes, so I am on all social media platforms. I'm Mika Diamond. I'm also Visible Evidence, and it's VZABLE Evidence. I am also on Facebook, The Morning Tea Radio Show, and I'm on Monday through Friday on GMT Radio, and that's www.gmtradio.com from 8 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time, Monday through Friday. So thank you so much for this platform, for allowing us to speak. You know, there's so many people, especially during this season right now that we're in, that are going through things, and they're holding it all in. But just to be able to listen to people, to have relatable conversations, relatable topics, that they too have been through some things. And even if we haven't walked the same walk that the individuals, all of those who are watching this live, they're watching, then they'll know that no one's perfect. No one's perfect. And
somebody trying to get in contact.
Yes, they are. Goodness, and I can't get to the decline, but
it's okay.
Oh God, right at the end.
Know that they're trying to get you. But just to say that those who are in a situation, that they too can come out of this. They can
Hold on, Mika, let me let this. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. It was important. It was important.
My nephew.
We are not gonna let the devil not let me get this out though. We're not gonna let him do it. So, but just saying that there are people that are inside of their homes that are going through something. They have idle time right now where their mind is mentally just thinking about some of the past mistakes, some of the things that they haven't abandoned like we have. It is a process, but I'm a living witness. And when I speak to God every night, I ask the Lord to let me be the light. Let me be the living testimony to go out in the dark world and showcase that you can go beyond some of your faults. You can go beyond some of your mistakes, and you can come out to the other side and be a new person, a new individual, and be far greater than you were prior to you even getting to that point. So if I can uplift, motivate, and encourage any woman, any male that even in a standstill of where we are, even if you've had a situation or something that has happened because of the pandemic, that, just trust God, seek God's face, discernment in each and everything. Utilize this time to create birth new babies. This is a season for a lot of people to birth new babies. Some of those things that you've been thinking about, some of those things that you haven't had a chance to do because of a busy work schedule, because of the fast life, and so many things have gotten in the way. This is the time where God has allowed you to have the opportunity to birth some of those things. So I just encourage everybody who's listening, everybody who's watching, to, just seek God and stay faithful, remain faithful, and everything will be just fine. I'm a living witness. I don't mind being a living testimony if it's going to change somebody else's life, and know that they can come out of something that they've been going through, they went through, and just abandon whatever it is that's in their past or their present, so they can be able to do better and live life to the fullest without that burden being weight on their shoulders. So thank you for allowing me to speak. Thank you so much. I always, anytime you need me to do whatever, I am here. So I appreciate you, and God bless everybody who will be able to see this platform. So thank you.
So I thank you, ladies. I'm so humbled by your presence, and I really do. I learn a lot from you guys. Just in this conversation, I learned, and it just encourages me and motivates me. So I appreciate you, ladies. And now what I would say is that we got to be bold in our change. We got to be bold, and we got to be consistent. We got to be persistent. We got to be, we got to walk in faith. We got to know God, we're more than conquerors. We are more than conquerors in Christ. And so if you're out there and you're struggling with your past, let it go. Give it to God. And when you genuinely, truly give it to God and walk away from it, you'll see change. It wasn't until on the other side. I'm telling you, on the other side is when I started living life.
Absolutely.
Started living life.
I
thought I was partying and having a ball, and that was not living. I started living when I met back up with Jesus, right? Even though it had to be in a place of my very low. That's where he does his best work.
Yeah.
So you guys, until next time, respect yourself, respect each other. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a
good night.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye.